Part 19. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 182. In the complex of the Fabreau City Council, there is a separate building, which is the special meeting hall of the City Council. In order to take care of the special speaker, the city councilors were summoned at night. Not all councilors are willing to come to the meeting at night. It is human instinct to hate meetings. The meeting hall was noisy and the councilors kept talking. Deputy Speaker Abel knocked the gavel, and a crisp clang sound rang out. Quiet. Quiet. The special meeting hall is a rectangular meeting hall with an oval open space in the middle. There is a table in the middle of the open space, which is the speaking seat of the meeting hall. On both sides of the oval are gradually rising seating pools, which can seat about 50 people. At this time, many councilors are sitting on the left side of the seating pool. On the right side of the seating pool, the nobles of Fabreau City and the people of the Red Church are sitting. In front of the oval open space are the seats of a speaker and two vice speakers. The speaker's seat is higher than the vice speaker, and there are large dark wooden tables in front of them. Speaker Quint is a silver-haired old man, and like Vice Speaker Abel, he is also a level 4 alchemist. Originally, the Fabreau City Council had 2 vice speakers, but after the previous vice speaker retired, the county council believed that Fabreau should gradually reduce its size and there was no need to elect another vice speaker. The seat rose again, blocking the window, so that people could only focus on the meeting room. The yellow-brown light shone in the meeting room, and many people lowered their heads, so their expressions could not be seen clearly. Vice Speaker Abel's voice rang out in the meeting room. At the request of the Red Church, the Fabreau City Council will add a special meeting to the summer meeting to discuss the dangerous criminal gang raised by the Red Church. Claude, who has become a council member, sat in the last row with his legs crossed, yawning and playing with a pen out of boredom. An older council member next to him glanced at Claude, and Claude quickly put his legs down. Of course, he was dissatisfied in his heart. Why was he so serious? Just come and listen. It was like the final show of hands was useless. It was all formality. Claude pretended to be very serious, writing his name on the notebook, and the names of Jessica, Mrs. Betsy, Mrs. Vanny, Mrs. Mary, Mrs. Leslie, etc. He would stay in Fabreau City often in the future. Should he develop some gentle and caring ladies in Fabreau City, or help some more familiar ladies move to Fabreau City? It was a difficult decision. As for the dangerous criminal gangs, isn't that Rudolph? Rudolph is not dangerous, what's the danger for him? Deputy Speaker Abel said loudly, please ask the High Priest of the Red Church, Ms. Hera, to explain the situation they encountered. Hera was still wearing a one-line skirt, and the long skirt tail was suspended on the ground. The sound of high heels was very crisp. She walked to the podium in the center of the oval open space, holding a piece of paper and began to speak. Dear Speaker Quint, dear Deputy Speaker Abel, dear members, I am submitting a report on dangerous criminal gangs to the Parliament. Speaker Quint was a little old, with cloudy eyes and dull expression. Abel just frowned and looked at Hera. He had a lot of opinions about the system of Fabreau City. It might be extremely rare in the Carolingian kingdom that a vampire would speak openly in the Parliament. It was just a problem left over from history, so Abel had no good solution. Who made the Parliament more than 100 years ago compromise with the Ravenel family in order to mine iron ore as soon as possible. Hera continued, the leader of the criminal gang, the third-level wizard, Rudolph. Based on his fighting style, I think Rudolph is a Scorpio wizard. Scorpio wizard, the wizard who can arouse people's fear the most, poisons people invisibly, making it difficult to guard against. I think everyone here can't guarantee that they will always be cautious to prevent what they eat, smell, and touch from carrying dangerous toxins. Hearing the name of the Scorpio wizard, the members and others in the conference hall whispered. The dim light illuminated the frowns of the members, making their eyes more sunken. Scorpio wizards are really a headache. Hera continued. Scorpio wizard Rudolph has many magical weapons, and he has killed many apostles. His magical weapons include bat wings from the Blood Clan, erosion light beads from the evil god White Demon Priest, and other unknown magical weapons. The whispers sounded again in the meeting hall, and Abel knocked the gavel to quiet everyone down. Among the magical weapons of the Scorpio wizard, are there any magical weapons from the 3 apostles chosen by God? Hera wanted to say yes, but she couldn't lie here. No, no magical weapons from the 3 apostles chosen by God have been found for the time being. The faces of the congressmen looked a little better, which proved that the Scorpio wizard knew fear and knew not to attack the Alchemy Council. Deputy Speaker Abel said, "Continue." Hera understood the deputy speaker's attitude, so she set her eyes on Speaker Quint and continued. Just now, an incident that shocked the whole city happened in Gastown. Baron Hakam of Gastown unfortunately died in the Battle of Promotion. And the wizard Rudolph also became a level 3 wizard in that battle. This is naked murder. It is a blasphemy against the Carolingian royal family and nobles. It is a contempt for the Alchemy Council. This news has spread all over the city, and most people know that the old noble of Fabreau City, Baron Gastown, died in the wilderness. Viscount of Fabreau City, Viscount Savin, raised his hand to cover the lower half of his face, and sat motionless in his chair. No one around dared to talk to Viscount Savin. Viscount Savin was in a bad mood because such an important vassal died in an accident. He needed to respond, but many plans could not be implemented for the time being because he knew little about the wizard. And another member of the Rudolph crime group, the mutant white wolf Ivan, also snatched the dying level 3 werewolf from Baron Hakam that day, and became a level 3 mutant white wolf. Things are getting bigger and bigger, even the level 3 mutant white wolf has come out. Deputy Speaker Abel said, "Please provide your evidence." Hera had a document in her hand, and a parliamentary intern took the document away and delivered it to Abel's desk. Hera said, "In that incident, 16 people from the Red Church died. The survivors recorded their testimonies, and I hope you can accept them." Deputy Speaker Abel briefly looked through the testimony, then banged the gavel and said, "Please invite other witnesses to appear." Soon, the door of the meeting hall opened again, and Jennifer appeared at the door. Hera looked at Jennifer at the door with a bad look. This night is the night of Lehman Town, and the wizard Rudolph and the White Wolf are also from Lehman Town. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 183. Jennifer also entered the city council for the first time. She didn't feel nervous before entering the door, but after entering, she saw that the seats gradually rising on both sides were filled with people, and they were all big shots. There were also the speaker and the deputy speaker in front, and her breathing slowed down a lot. She followed the instructions of the intern and came to the podium. Jennifer watched the intern turn around and leave, and she felt a little emotional. If her family hadn't had any misfortunes, she might have come to the council for internship. The council recruits some interns every year, and families with certain strength will let their children do interns. Such internship positions can allow young people to get in touch with the top leaders of Fabreau City, let them get close to the core, observe the affairs of those big shots, and understand the operating rules of Fabreau City. Deputy Speaker Abel banged the gavel. "Sir Jennifer, on the day Baron Hakam was killed, you also fought with your lord. Please tell us the situation on that day accurately." Ignoring Hera, who was sitting on the side and frowning at her, Jennifer began to speak the prepared speech. Baron Hakam attached great importance to this promotion and prepared nearly 100 cavalry. After finding the level 3 werewolf, Baron Hakam led the cavalry to fight the level 3 werewolf. We paid a painful price, and Baron Hakam had the upper hand in front of the level 3 werewolf. However, the situation took a sharp turn for the worse after the appearance of the vampire Vanya. Please note that it is the vampire traitor Vanya. Not the vampire Vanya, Hera interrupted Jennifer's speech at this time. After knocking the gavel, Deputy Speaker Abel said, "Ms. Hera, please pay attention to the order of the venue and respect other people's speeches." Hera just took a deep breath. This is the home court of the alchemist, and she didn't say much. She wanted to use the power of the trial bureau, so she had to convince these counselors. Jennifer continued. When the battle was at its most intense, Baron Haakim's abdomen was pierced by the werewolf's arm, but Baron Haakim also cut off one arm and one leg of the werewolf. The Baron was only one breath away from defeating the level 3 werewolf and becoming a level 3 knight. However, after the appearance of the vampire Vanya, Baron Haakim encountered great difficulties. Vampire Vanya suddenly flew towards Baron Haakim and the level 3 werewolf who were fighting fiercely. He took the lead in attacking Baron Haakim and strangled Haakim with the bloodline, an ability that only the sarcophagus vampires have. Baron's throat. The mutant white wolf attacked the level 3 werewolf at that time, took the opportunity to bite off the level 3 werewolf's throat, and achieved promotion. Hayden, Baron Haakim's grandson and my cousin, who wanted to go over to help, was pierced in the abdomen by the bloodline of the vampire Vanya, causing Hayden to be seriously injured. Hayden's death in battle had a lot to do with the attack of the vampire Vanya. Under the attack of the werewolf and the vampire Vanya, Baron Haakim suffered misfortune and died on the spot. The noisy conversation sounded again in the meeting hall, and people expressed their regret for Baron Haakim's death. 2 werewolves and vampires, under such a siege, Baron Haakim, a level 2 knight, certainly couldn't stand it. Until the members of the parliament had almost finished their discussion, Deputy Speaker Abel said, "Sir Jennifer, can you take responsibility for your words?" Jennifer nodded seriously. "I swear by the honor of the knight, everything I said just now is true. The surviving cavalrymen of the Baron's castle can also testify to what I said." Sitting in the back seat, Claude looked at Jennifer's ease and felt that a level 2 knight could bring people confidence. Jennifer has become a level 2 knight. It's time for Rudolph to stand up for Jennifer and persuade Old Grey not to carry the hatred from decades ago on Jennifer. Now that it's so chaotic, Old Grey must allow Jennifer to seek another promotion. Only he knew that the death of Jennifer's grandfather was the result of a conspiracy between Old Grey and Haakim. Jennifer's grandfather is still lying in the cemetery of Lehmantown and is one of Old Grey's important collections. Deputy Speaker Abel nodded, and then he looked at Hera. "Ms. Hera, do you have anything to add about the Red Church traitor Vanya? The blood race is a heresy, but the Red Church is a church, which is allowed by the Alchemy Council." When Hera heard the name Red Church traitor, she realized that she had not noticed this point just now, and she said, "Red Church traitor Vanya is a member of a dangerous criminal gang. I went to Gazet Town to arrest this traitor." In other words, there are indeed members of the Red Church in the dangerous criminal gang. Deputy Speaker Abel's words reminded the other members that no matter how peaceful the Red Church is, there are heretic apostles in it, and they are very strong heretic blood races among the heretic apostles. Hera didn't know how to answer, and Deputy Speaker Abel didn't continue asking. He turned his eyes to Jennifer. "Sir Jennifer, please continue to describe the crimes of the criminal gang in the next battle." Jennifer continued. After Baron Haakim was killed, Ms. Hera and the vampires also arrived at the scene. The vampire Vanya seemed to have some emotional connection with Ms. Hera, saying that he couldn't get what he wanted and couldn't love. The wizard Rudolph said that he would capture Hera for their boss Vanya. When you talk about these things, the congressmen are a little more energetic. The vampire genius Vanya, who turned hatred into love, angrily rebelled against the Ravno family and deliberately attracted his old lover Hera to hunt him down. The congressmen felt that they had guessed the truth of the matter. That's slander. I have never seen the traitor Vanya. Hera hated these despicable means, but she couldn't find any good way to refute. Deputy Speaker Abel banged the gavel again, asking Jennifer to continue. Jennifer said, "Ms. Hera had a fierce battle with the criminal gang. Level 3 Vampire Vanya, Level 3 Wizard Rudolph, Level 3 Werewolf Ivan. 3 heretics were no match for Ms. Hera and were chased by her everywhere. Ms. Hera has a level 3 magic weapon oak cane, which is very powerful. It can make bats grow huge and launch vine attacks. At this time, Speaker Quint, who had not expressed his opinion, suddenly opened his eyes. Sir Jennifer, are you sure it is a level 3 magic weapon oak cane made of druid relics? Sure, I'm not wrong. Speaker Quint and the director of the Judgment Bureau Gembalo said. The 3 apostles chosen by God must not become the raw materials of magic weapons. This is the bottom line and cannot be broken. Director Gem, confiscate this magic weapon. The director of the Judgment Bureau, who was sitting in the first row, stood up and saluted Speaker Quint. This magic weapon will appear in your office tonight. From beginning to end, Speaker Quint and Director Gem did not look at Hera. Hera's face was very ugly, but now the enemies of the Ravno family are 3 level 3 apostles, including wizards. She thought she could use the power of the Alchemy Council. Just when Hera felt extremely humiliated, Jennifer's next words made her even more embarrassed. Jennifer's voice sounded again. During the battle, Ms. Hera chased the wizard Rudolph. Her bloodline scratched Sir Harley, and my uncle Sir Harley was cut into 2 by the bloodline, and unfortunately died in the hands of Ms. Hera's bloodline. Hera couldn't help but look at Viscount Savin, and found that Viscount Savin was also glaring at her. This is a humiliation. The Alchemy Council agreed to let her discuss the criminal gang, but the whole process suddenly turned and became a humiliation to the Ravno family. Claude, who was sitting in the last row, looked at his teacher, Deputy Speaker Abel, with pride. Look, Rudolph did a beautiful job. Vice Speaker Abel was looking at Hera in shock, as if he was hearing the news for the first time, and didn't have a chance to give Claude an approving look. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 184. Ms. Hera, please give me an accurate answer. Is Sir Harley's death related to you? Faced with the unusually serious question from Deputy Speaker Abel and the gaze of Viscount Saywan, Hera could not avoid it and had no choice but to say. At that time, I was fighting a level 3 wizard who had hunted a member of the Red Church and obtained a batwing as a witch weapon. We fought from the sky to the ground. The wizard was very cunning. He deliberately flew into the cavalry. Fighting with such a wizard, I could only go all out and it was impossible to control my own strength. Maybe in the fierce battle, some damage was caused to those cavalry, but I don't know who was injured specifically. Deputy Speaker Abel asked sternly, please answer my question directly. Did you kill Sir Harley? Hera looked at Viscount Saywan, hoping that this ally would stand up and speak for her. Faced with Hera's staring eyes in front of everyone, Viscount Saywan had to raise his hand. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I apply to speak. In front of 2 level 4 alchemists, Viscount Saywan raised his hand first and seemed very polite. After receiving permission, Viscount Saywan said. Even fighting a wizard, even if the situation is very tense, killing their knight in front of so many cavalry is intolerable. I am the Lord of Baron Harksum, and I will read the laws of the nobility of the Carolingian kingdom and impose the harshest punishment on Lady Hera. Viscount Saywan spoke aggressively, but Hera breathed a sigh of relief. Hearing that Viscount Saywan wanted to resolve the matter within the Viscount's castle, Deputy Speaker Abel could not say much. If the Viscount insisted that this was an internal matter within their noble family, the Parliament would not be able to intervene. Sir Jennifer, please continue to describe what happened next. Okay, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Jennifer ignored Hera's increasingly angry eyes and continued. Afterwards, the wizard Rudolph and Lady Hera fought to no avail, and the leader of the criminal gang, the vampire Vanya, joined the battle. I saw Ms. Hera was injured, and then she quickly left the battle without caring about the life or death of our cavalry. At the same time, the mutant White Wolf attacked the church personnel led by Ms. Hera. The mutated White Wolf captured a witch hunter I knew named Larry. For some reason, the criminal gang did not kill Larry, but took him away. On the way back to Gasai town, I met the witch hunter Larry on the roadside and took him back with me. Last question, Sir Jennifer, Baron Harksum, Sir Harley, and Knight Hayden, are their bodies intact and have their relics been taken away by wizards? This is also an issue that the House of Representatives is more concerned about. It involves whether the wizard has a bottom line and whether he will do whatever it takes to get the relic. Jennifer said with great certainty, the bodies of the 3 knights are intact, and the wizard has not touched their remains. The congressman breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he wasn't a crazy wizard, at least he knew how to deal with it. After finishing speaking, Jennifer indicated that she had nothing to report, and was led to the seat at the back by the intern. Jennifer sat next to Claude, and Claude praised her in a low voice, praising her confidence and calmness. Viscount Xuanhuan glanced at Jennifer, a little unhappy. Today's new aristocrats pay less and less attention to traditional aristocratic etiquette. A knight should sit behind him on such an occasion, not with an alchemist counselor. At this time, the Viscount's entourage whispered about Jennifer, saying that Senator Claude opposite was the lover of Jennifer's mother. Viscount Savant nodded, this made sense. At the same time, Viscount Xuanhuan thought that Jennifer had become a level 2 knight, and felt a sense of urgency. The Baron of Gasset Town and Sir Lehman Town have always had some conflicts, and Viscount Xuanhuan has never participated in mediating their disputes. As a result, the Lord's castle in Lemon Town is getting weaker and weaker. If Hakim hadn't died, it would probably have been directly annexed by the Baron's castle. Now it seems that Viscount Xuanhuan thinks he should adjust his strategy and win over Sir Jennifer of Lehman Town. A young level 2 knight is already valuable to win over. He turned around and whispered to his entourage, I invite the beautiful Sir Jennifer to come to the castle tomorrow, and I invite her to have lunch with me. Okay. Lord Viscount, isn't it dinner? Viscount Xuanhuan thought about the process of Jennifer becoming a level 2 knight. He was keenly aware that the criminal gang, the 3 dangerous level 3 apostles, had a close relationship with Jennifer, so he said. Don't worry, wait until the criminal gang is sacrificed. I don't want to be targeted by a level 3 Scorpio wizard for no reason. Send someone to Lehman Town to investigate the relationship between Jennifer and the wizard. The follower nodded. Level 3 wizards still put a lot of pressure on people, and even the Viscount doesn't want to offend them easily. The intern stenographer has already printed out the speeches of the 2 speakers and placed them on Deputy Speaker Abel's desk. After checking that there was no problem, Abel said, next speaker, Larry the Witch Hunter. Soon, Larry entered the meeting room. As soon as Larry stood on the floor, he heard Deputy Speaker Abel ask, Witch Hunter Larry, your appearance in the ranks of the Red Church was an order from the tribunal, or was it your own behavior? Director Jim immediately applied to speak. After Deputy Speaker Abel agreed, Director Jim said, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Larry's behavior is a secret order of the Judicial Office. Although Director Jem only found out about it after the fact, it did not prevent him from protecting his subordinates on such occasions. The witch hunter helping the vampires will definitely make the higher UPS in Fabro City angry, but that's all Jem can do. After hearing that it was a secret order, Deputy Speaker Abel simply said, I hope that the trial office will submit a report to the Parliament tomorrow to explain your reasons. Okay, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Jem sat down without looking at Larry. Director Jem was also unhappy about the trouble that Wayne's decision-making brought to the tribunal without authorization. Witch Hunter Larry, please describe what you saw. Larry then began to speak. Dear Mr. Speaker, distinguished Mr. Deputy Speaker, distinguished members. Since the last time the Red Church reported the presence of a wizard in Lehman Town, the Inquisition Office has been keeping an eye on the wizard. During the operation to eliminate the evil god in Lemon Town, I had dealt with the wizard Rudolph, who used to be the patrol captain of the Lemon Town Police Department. He was so well hidden that when his identity was revealed, the wizard Rudolph and the werewolf Ivan escaped from Lemon Town together. I have been collecting clues about the wizard Rudolph. In the process of collecting, I discovered that the wizard Rudolph has some kind of connection with the vampire traitor Vanya. The judicial office tried to find this criminal gang with the help of the Blood Clan. Sure enough, I found them in Gasser Town. During the battle with this criminal gang, I was unfortunately captured. After being captured, the blood traitor Vanya said that he would execute me, but the wizard Rudolph stopped Vanya from doing so. The wizard Rudolph said that he had been a patrol captain and remembered his old friendship and would not take action against people in the police station and the trial court. The two of them had a dispute about this, and finally the wizard Rudolph made the decision and let me go. Sheriff Claude nodded with satisfaction. In order to be promoted to level 3, Rudolph made a bit of a fuss this time, but he let Larry go. This was a clever move that allowed them to take the initiative in front of the judgment office. In order to prevent the deputy speaker from pursuing the cooperation between the witch hunter and the vampires, Larry could only follow what Claude arranged. After a period of discussion, Deputy Speaker Abel asked Jim, the director of the trial department, to summarize the matter. Jim said, "The tragic death of Baron Harkham is a tragedy. According to the available intelligence, the crazed vampire traitor Vanya was the direct murderer of Baron Hakim's death. Coupled with other performances of the criminal gang, I believe that the leader of the criminal gang is the blood traitor Vanya. As the tribunal, our opinion is that the Red Church itself should deal with the blood traitor Vanya. Of course, the Judicial Bureau will do its best to cooperate with the Red Church in arresting criminal gangs. I believe that the first culprit, the vampire traitor Vanya, and the accomplices, the wizard Rudolph and the werewolf Ivan, will be brought to justice soon." After that, there was a moment for the members of the House of Representatives to express their opinions, and the members voted by a show of hands. This kind of issue is easy to pass, and there is almost no objection. Hera said nothing. She spent a lot of effort to persuade several members to nominate this special meeting. In the end, she actually named the vampire traitor as the first offender. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 185. After the meeting, Larry was in a depressed mood, with the corners of his mouth turned down, and his body standing upright outside the door of the chamber, waiting for Director Jim. One by one, the members and nobles left the chamber, and the people from the Red Church also left the chamber. Hera's eyes were very unfriendly when she passed Larry. Larry didn't meet her eyes, he knew what he said would be very detrimental to the Strigoi. After a long time, Director Jim and Representative Claude came outside together. The two of them had just been left by the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, and they were given some things to do, so they came out very late. Director Jim also had a very bad attitude towards Larry. Follow Deputy Director Claude. He will arrange some things for you. Cooperate carefully and don't mess up again. Yes. Director. Claude has also been promoted now. He has become the Deputy Director of the City Police Department, managing the police stations of 6 towns outside Fabreau City. Let's go, Larry. Larry had to follow Claude outside the Parliament building. It was already late at night, and he didn't know what Deputy Director Claude was taking him to do. They arrived at Claude's office at the city police station. When Larry entered Claude's office, he saw that his captain Wayne was also there. Not only was Wayne there, but Larry also saw another person who surprised him even more. One of the protagonists in the meeting hall just now, the wizard Rudolph, was sitting carelessly on the sofa. Larry couldn't help but look around. This was indeed an office in the police station, with a police badge hanging on the wall. Close the door. Hearing Claude's words, Larry had to close the office door. The members of the Alchemy Parliament are people from all walks of life who can represent the interests of alchemists. The deputy director of the police station, Claude, a level 3 alchemist, is qualified to become a member. Larry has to listen to Claude's orders. Sit down, Larry, and don't hold back. After hearing Claude's words, Larry sat next to Wayne. Claude sat behind his desk, lit a cigarette, and said slowly, "I know that there are some misunderstandings between you. Wayne, I am Rudolph's guarantor. I am willing to use my future and personality to guarantee that Rudolph will not do anything bad." Wayne couldn't help but said, "including killing Baron Harksum." "Wayne, Ms. Hera killed Sir Harley with your help. You are not qualified to criticize anyone. If Director Jem hadn't protected you, you would have been in jail now." Wayne had nothing to say, and he didn't know that Hera dared to attack Sir Harley in public. Of course, from a post-analysis perspective, if Hera kills the wizard Rudolph, then all the cavalry on the ground will die at the hands of werewolves. There will be no evidence of death at that time, so there is nothing to worry about. But the problem is that Hera failed to defeat the wizard. The wizard sat across from Wayne intact, drinking the wine stored in Deputy Director Claude's cabinet. Claude continued. "The tribunal will still not launch a witch hunt against Rudolph. Wayne, please be careful not to make any unnecessary moves against Rudolph. For my sake, this matter ends here." Seeing Deputy Director Claude's serious look, Wayne could only sigh, "I understand, Deputy Director, I won't make any more small moves." "Very good," Claude comforted him. "Wayne, because of the existence of the Red Church Promise, we occupy the current land in Fabreau City and allow the Rievno family to operate here, so we can't come forward to directly attack the Rievno family. The trial court is inconvenient, the police station is inconvenient, and the parliament is inconvenient. The Alchemy Council must abide by the minimum contract, and compliance on the surface is also compliance. It is easy to destroy order, but difficult to establish and maintain it. But again, we need a game breaker, someone to investigate some things for us. Now, I will convey the orders of Speaker Quint and Deputy Speaker Abel." Wayne and Larry both became serious. They both knew that the council would not cover up a wizard for no reason, even if the wizard had Claude's guarantee. Claude said, "According to reliable information, the founder of the Rievno family, level 4 vampire Rievno, has made new moves. His golden coffin has been moved from the castle to the Red Church in Fabreau City. Revner will soon wake up from his ancient golden coffin, and it's so bad. A vampire like Rievno who has lived for thousands of years will not wake up from his slumber easily. Any human pleasure was meaningless to him, and his awakening must be due to something else." Speaker Quint guessed that in the past year or so, werewolves have been staring at our Fabreau City, evil gods have been staring at our Fabreau City, and nearby forces in the wilderness are gathering towards Fabreau City. The most likely reason is that Lievno is about to wake up. This put great pressure on the Alchemy Council, which was preparing to organize an unconventional force to secretly investigate Revno. This matter is very, very dangerous and the level is very, very high. Therefore, Wayne, not only can you not make any small moves against Rudolph, but you must satisfy any Rudolph needs, because Rudolph is one of the important executors in this plan. Director Jem was originally going to send witch hunters to assist Rudolph, but I don't think it's necessary. You are relatively familiar with Rudolph. You already know about Rudolph's existence. The fewer people who know about it, the fewer people who know about Rudolph. Risk of exposure. Sheriff Claude finally finished smoking a cigarette and lit another. Fabreau City is already facing a situation of resource depletion and fiscal austerity. If the Diego-Ravener family secretly makes some moves, then our Alchemy Council may really lose Fabreau City. Wayne, you are also an alchemist. I hope you can focus on the common interests of alchemists and temporarily put aside your prejudices. If this matter is over, I will let Rudolph go to prison for a few years to satisfy the ideas of the trial bureau and the witch hunters. Rudolph didn't even drink the wine. I won't go, I absolutely can't go. Claude glanced at Rudolph, meaning that you don't even agree to a show? Rudolph had to grit his teeth and agree, a few years is too long, a few months. Wayne was not disturbed by the bickering of the two men. He understood why the bigwigs of the parliament had to make such an effort to protect this wizard. He also felt that it would not be like this just for Claude's face. If it was for Fabreau City and to prevent some conspiracy of the Blood Clan, it would make sense. Okay, I will cooperate with Rudolph. If Deputy Director Claude needs the cooperation of the Trial Bureau and Director Jem knows about it, I will be the best executor. Okay. Rudolph needs to check the information of the Ravener family recently. You should cooperate with him to do this first. After Wayne and Larry left, Claude and Rudolph said, Rudolph, are you afraid of this dangerous job? I'm not afraid, but is there a salary? Claude looked proud. I knew you would ask this. Fortunately, I was prepared. Your current establishment is in the city. The police station not only has a salary, but also activity funds. Are you satisfied? It's okay, it meets the minimum requirements. Claude couldn't help but say, Rudolph, there are wizards who do evil, some who are unforgivable, and some who are killed early, but I have never heard of a poor wizard. Why don't you sell some magic tools? I don't believe you don't have some collections. Rudolph suddenly realized, you are right, I should find some ways to generate income. This late night, after Hera returned to the Red Church in the city, she did not rest, but walked to the statue of the ancestor of the Blood Clan in the center of the church. Behind the statue, there is a corridor leading to the underground. There are candles on both sides of the corridor, flickering with dim light. Hera stood in front of a golden coffin and whispered, Great Father, the Alchemy Council is getting more and more rampant. I think it's time to take back our territory. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 186. Yvonne, I'm going out. Be careful at home. After closing the door, Rudolph carried a suitcase and left their newly rented house. Rudolph is now an organized person. He is a special operations officer of the police station, so he rented an apartment next to the city police station. Who would have thought that a wizard would have to live next to the police station to find a sense of security? Rudolph glued a lot of fake beards on his face to distinguish himself from his previous image. The police station and the trial office will not hunt witches, and fake beards are the minimum respect for them. Leaning on a cane, Rudolph walked in the night of Fabreau City. Hiding during the day and going out at night is also a respect for the police station and the trial office. As a person, you still can't be too high profile. A bearded man wearing a hat walked on the sidewalk. The dim street lights came one after another, making Rudolph's figure appear in the light from time to time and disappear into the darkness from time to time. After living there for a few days, Rudolph found that he liked the feeling of being in the city more. No one knows me in the city, and I don't need to know others. The whole street is full of strangers passing by, and the whole building is full of strangers sharing stairs. No one will have extra care, and no one will be disturbed. Hiding in the city means that the city is too big, we are all ants, crowded ants that don't know each other. Rudolph found a cafe. This night will be a sleepless night. Rudolph is going to drink some coffee to refresh himself. Waiter, which coffee is the best for refreshing? A beautiful waitress bent over, with a heavy metal ornament hanging in the middle of her collar, which made her reveal more scenery when she bent over. Sir, the best coffee for refreshing is coffee ground from the best bourbon beans, but the price is a bit expensive. Give me a cup of espresso, you said. Rudolph thought, how expensive can a cup of coffee be, and can he not afford a cup of coffee? After tonight, when he clears out the inventory of wizards on his body, he must prove the saying that there is no poor wizard. For the next hour, Rudolph tasted a cup of coffee very slowly, until the coffee was cold and the taste had changed. Rudolph was reluctant to take a big sip. It was not because the taste was so good, but because it was too expensive. Who would have thought that some expensive bourbon beans coffee would cost 50 copper shields a cup? Rudolph, who had no income for 2 months, felt very stressed. Too much. Black shop, this is definitely a black shop. In between coffee, Rudolph took out a chess piece, the chess piece of the Black Gold Institute, the Black Soldier J. After inputting the wizard star power into the chess piece, Rudolph waited for the chess piece to change. Today is Friday night. According to the practice of the Black Gold Institute, the Black Gold Institute will hold a trade fair tonight. At around 10 o'clock, the chess piece jumped a small step in a certain direction. Rudolph drank the last coffee and left the cafe. On the outskirts of Fabreau City, around a house, Rudolph saw the guide sitting on a chair on the roadside again. Rudolph saw people queuing up to pay the entrance fee to the guide. He had already put on the purple scorpion mask and quietly queued up behind. These cruel people in the dark world also need to queue up honestly in front of the Black Gold office. When it was Rudolph's turn, Rudolph honestly took out 10 silver shields. This was a real black shop, and he had to be honest. The guide lady looked up at Rudolph, and her drooping eyelids slightly lifted. "I remember you, young man. I haven't seen you for a long time. I thought you were dead. Mr. Guide, you thought I was dead last time, but I'm still alive and well." The guide lady looked at Rudolph carefully, which made Rudolph a little embarrassed. "Young man, come here after the transaction is over. I have something to say to you." Rudolph was a little surprised, but he did not refuse. "As you wish, Mr. Guide." The guide looked at Rudolph and turned to enter the Black Gold office after saluting, thinking that the young man was very lucky. The most difficult stage of the wizard is over, and the rest of the road will be much easier. After entering the Black Gold office, Rudolph still found a chair at the back and sat down. A servant stood in front of Rudolph and provided one-to-one service for Rudolph. Everyone who participated in the transaction would have such a servant. Rudolph said, "Take me to the handover room first. I have a lot of things this time. I will give them to you one by one." The servant took Rudolph to the handover room on the side. In the handover room, Rudolph opened the suitcase. Seeing the inspector's surprised eyes, Rudolph nodded to him, indicating that his eyes were fine. "That's all." After the inspector counted the number, Rudolph left the handover room. He returned to the hall and waited for the auction to begin. Soon, the old man in the tuxedo became the host of the trade fair. The only light shone on the old man in the tuxedo, and his voice rang out in the hall. "The Black Gold Exchange will open in the 3rd week of June. There are many major events this month, and I think you can't wait for the start of the trade fair. The first transaction. The Black King's Bounty. 3,000 gold shields. The bounty is for the level 3 wizard Rudolph." Rudolph was stunned. Is it such an exciting thing to play right at the beginning? 3,000 gold shields, he himself was a little tempted. He didn't expect it to be so valuable. However, to Rudolph's surprise, there was little response in the trading hall. "That's a level 3 wizard. 3,000 gold shields? Why do I feel that this is a bounty issued by the level 3 wizard himself? Is he trying to fish in this way? Is the Black King the level 3 wizard Rudolph?" Listening to the discussion of the crowd, Rudolph's self-confidence rose higher and higher. He was still too modest and thought that 3,000 gold shields could buy his head. Is his great head only worth 3,000 gold shields? Looking at the reactions of the people around him, it is clear that 3,000 gold shields cannot buy it. Some people also suspected that he was the Black King, which was too much. If he was the Black King, it would be too bad to use a gold shield to fish for relics. However, it was very creative. With the criticism, This deal must have been aborted. The old man in the tuxedo continued, the White Queen is looking for a plague medium and asks the plague medium to treat a disease. The reward is negotiable and very generous. Soon, White Soldier F took over the deal. After the battle with the plague mediator Doolittle, Rudolph also knew that the plague mediator was also called the plague doctor, and generally had extremely advanced medical skills. White Soldier F was a plague mediator that restrained him. This was the information Rudolph could get. Black Elephant is looking for an alchemist to go prospecting in the wilderness, and the reward is 1,000 gold shields. It seems that there were alchemists involved in the black gold transaction before, otherwise no one would know that an alchemist could be found in this way. But what does it mean to go prospecting in the wilderness now? Does anyone want to develop the minerals in the wilderness? The iron ore in Fabro City is about to be mined dry, and this is someone who wants to find a new way to make a living. There are werewolves everywhere in the wilderness. Even if the minerals are found, I don't know how those people are going to develop them. Soon, Rudolph heard about his transaction. Next, it's this market, which is almost certain to be the largest transaction this month. Black Soldier J, selling 22 level 2 witchcraft weapons, Blood Clan Batwings. For a time, the entire trading hall burst into conversations like a vegetable market. Level 2 magical weapon, the Vampire Batwings, are they the kind of level 2 Batwings that can allow people to master the ability to fly? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 187. The price of level 2 witchcraft ranges from 100 gold shields to 500 gold shields. There is a big gap. Different level 2 witchcraft weapons have different practicalities. The flying level 2 Batwings are undoubtedly one of the top level 2 witchcraft weapons. Having the ability to fly also means that you have more choices whether it is fighting or escaping. Rudolph knew that he could only get the maximum profit by selling the Batwings slowly one by one. He smashed out 22 level 2 Batwings at once, which would definitely result in the Batwings not being sold at a high price. However, Rudolph's purpose is to anger the Rievno family and make the vampires move, thereby helping the Inquisition find their weaknesses. The old man in the tuxedo continued. A perfect level 2 Batwing with the ability to fly. It is usually disguised as a leather belt and is difficult to detect. The price of Black Soldier J is 400 gold shields each. Please bid now. The Black Gold Institute did not introduce too much, because there is no need for such a magic weapon to be sold at all. Almost the first Batwing received bids from other people. After several people bid for it, the price of the first Batwing actually reached 520 gold shields, which surprised Rudolph. It seems that everyone is afraid of death, and they are not willing to miss this magic weapon that can increase the probability of escape. One piece of witchcraft weapon Batwings was auctioned, and even the big flags, Black Elephant C, and White Horse B were bought, and the price was set as high as 400 gold shields by Rudolph. There were more than 70 people in the trading room. It was no exaggeration to say that everyone wanted one. As the level 2 Batwings were sold one by one, there were whispers in the trading room. Who is so fierce? Did he destroy a vampire castle? I heard that Hera, the high priest of the Red Church, suffered a loss in Gasser town and was beaten until she was naked. Oh? Then I'm a little interested. I've met the high priest Hera. She looks like that. How is she naked? Do you have any details? Are these details important? Okay, so who did Hera lose in the fight? Level 3 Scorpio Wizard Rudolph, a wizard who has just been offered a reward. A terrifying wizard who will be poisoned just by looking at him. Once poisoned, he will definitely die. The poison of Scorpio is a poison that makes people feel extremely frightened. I believe he can be poisoned when passing by him. Is it an exaggeration to be poisoned by just one look? Why, the sight can also be poisonous. A bald man didn't dare to breathe, and said worriedly, "Before I choke to death, can anyone tell me that the wizard Rudolph is in this trading room? Is Black Soldier J the wizard? It's not impossible. But such a wizard shouldn't come here to take risks. Black Soldier J may be just an agent. The head of the wizard Rudolph is worth 3,000 gold shields." Soon after, they felt the temperature on the trading floor drop a few degrees. Everyone is not a good person, but they don't want to be dead. Soon, 22 pieces of level 2 vampire bat wings were sold out. The subsequent transaction seemed boring compared to the 22 pieces of level 2 vampire bat wings. This time Rudolph waited until the transaction was completely completed before going to the handover room. In the handover room, the trader was waiting for Rudolph at the door. He stretched out an arm forward and kept leading Rudolph to sit down, and a glass of red wine was placed in front of Rudolph at the right time. "Dear Mr. Black Soldier J, first of all, let me tell you that your chess piece has been improved again. Based on your past consumption and sales records, your chess piece will be replaced by Black Soldier D." Rudolph handed over his black pawn J piece, and the trader took out another piece from a box covered with goose feathers. "This is your new chess piece, please keep it." Rudolph lifted the chess piece and saw the letter D engraved on the bottom of the chess piece. The inspector took out an envelope. "Your income from this auction is 10,560 gold shields. After deducting the handling fee, your income is 9,504 gold shields. Please check." Rudolph picked up the envelope, let the money take out half the length, and simply counted it. No wonder the richer people are, the more they want to evade taxes. After the transaction volume reaches a certain scale, the handling fee exceeds 1,000 gold shields. Who can bear this? Earning 10 copper shields in exchange for 1 copper shield may not sound so distressing, but earning 10,000 gold shields in exchange for 1,000 gold shields is a heartbreaking pain. Claude said that there are no poor wizards. He was not lying. The feeling of being a household with 10,000 yuan is great. Money is a person's courage, and Rudolph is very brave now. Very good, that's it for today. I hope our cooperation will be more pleasant next time. The waiter led Rudolph towards the exit, but Rudolph called him to stop. "Please take me to the way into the Black Gold Institute." The waiter didn't ask any questions and led Rudolph to the entrance. Opening the entrance door, Rudolph looked at his spiritual pet pocket watch. The silence around him was terrifying, and someone was coming from a distance. If the vampires acted quickly, they should have already known that there were 22 vampire witch weapons in the Black Gold Institute. Rudolph didn't care about the vague people around him. He walked out of the door and walked to the bench on the street. It was June at this time, the temperature was comfortable, the night was no longer as hot as the day, and the warm air was flowing slowly. The old lady who was leading the way was a bit old and a little sleepy at this time. She leaned on the bench and took a nap. It wasn't until Rudolph sat down that the old lady who was the guide woke up. The old lady who was leading the way turned her head, looked at Rudolph, and asked in a slow voice, "Young man, take out your chess pieces." Rudolph took out the Black Soldier D, and didn't know what the guide old lady was going to do. "What you are holding is my magic weapon. Every time you input star power into the chess piece, I know that there is a young wizard in Fabro City. I even know your star power level and the nature of your star power. Young Scorpio wizard, I am glad to meet you." Rudolph couldn't help but admire. The mystery of the magic weapon is always so fascinating. Who would have thought that this simple chess piece would have so many secrets? "Young man, who is your teacher?" Rudolph thought about it and replied, "The dead wizard Saren. Does this count?" "The dead wizard Saren? Can the dead Saren be your teacher? Then, what is the relationship between you and Gray, the old zombie who guards the grave in Lehman?" Is Fabro City so small? Do you know Old Gray? Of course I know Mr. Gray. He is very strong, but unfortunately he is too old, otherwise he would not be so quiet. When he was young, he dared to dig the ancestral graves of the Viscount's family. It was difficult for Rudolph to connect the sleepy Old Gray with Mr. Gray, who dug the ancestral graves of the Viscount. Together, he shook his head and said, "Old Gray gave me some help, so that I could get part of the inheritance of the level 3 wizard Siren. That makes sense. The dead Siren is fine, but if the living Siren teaches you, you're done. He's too ostentatious, holds his head too high and dies quickly." The guide old lady asked, "What's your name?" Rudolph took off the purple scorpion mask. "Rudolph." "It's you," the guide old lady said. "I'm the Libra wizard, Windsor." "Hello, Ms. Windsor," the guide. The guide Windsor nodded and said, "I am not only the guide of the Black Gold Institute in Fabro City, but also the guide of wizards." The hypocritical chosen ones and the vicious heretics all shouted, "Wizards must die." "So, Rudolph, are you willing to join the Black Gold Institute, join this organization founded by wizards, and send the chosen ones or heretics to the trading table?" Rudolph was stunned. When he was a level 2 wizard, he did not receive an invitation from the Black Gold Institute. Why did they invite him after he became a level 3 wizard? Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 188. Some people left the market before the transaction ended, while others stayed outside the Black Gold Exchange after it ended. Red Church moved quickly, and a large number of people were already rushing towards the Black Gold Institute. They want to kill anyone who dares to sell 22 vampire witchcraft. But these did not affect Rudolph. In the quiet night, there was only a slight sound of conversation. The guide's voice was a little hoarse and slow, but very clear. "Rudolph, do you think wizards are strong?" Facing the question from the guide Windsor, Rudolph thought for a while and replied, "It is very strong. If the wizard has enough magic weapons, he can crush other apostles of the same level, and even fight against some apostles of a higher level. Yes, wizards are very strong, and the more advanced the wizard, the stronger. In addition to the wizards hunting other apostles to obtain relics, the high-level wizards are also the reason why other apostles target us. Many wizards die at level 1 and level 2, failing to grow. However, wizards did not become the rulers of the continent, because it was difficult for wizards to form a unified force and help each other. Unlike very powerful organizations such as the Alchemy Council or the Royal Family, the competition between wizards is too fierce and it is easy to fight over a relic. It's hard to imagine more than 50 wizards getting together and blowing their brains out for each other's crystals. Most wizards have bad tempers and are too murderous. They are either being hunted or on the way to hunt others. Therefore, the wizard always walks alone like a wild beast. The Black Gold Institute is an exception. The predecessor of the Black Gold Institute was the Wizards' Relic Exchange. Relic trading is a necessity for wizards. Wizards occasionally hope for a place where they can sit down, exchange money and resources, and avoid vicious fights between wizards. And all this needs to be hosted and witnessed by someone, and the Libra wizard becomes the most suitable witness. The witchcraft of Libra wizards includes balance, fairness, equivalence, etc. They are one of the few wizards who still have a certain degree of credibility. Rudolph thought for a while. If he could buy the relic, wouldn't his job of lighting up the star map become much easier? Some heretical apostles also have trading needs, but underground trading is very dangerous, and only wizards can do these small tricks under the eyes of the God-chosen apostles. The relic exchange grew bigger and bigger, and gradually some bold or powerful heretics came to the exchange. The relic exchange gradually transformed and became the current Black Gold Exchange, which not only deals with wizards' business, but also deals with all heretics' businesses. And even later, the needs of heretics were greater than the needs of wizards, and we are also happy to see this change. The black gold exchange ensures the security of the trading place, ensures that the identity of the trader is not revealed, and ensures that the transaction can be completed. If someone takes something and refuses to pay, the Black Gold Institute will send someone to get the thing back and then kill him. Equivalent transaction is the most basic principle of black gold. Not only is there a Black Gold Institute in Fabro City, but there are also other cities. Not only does the Carolingian kingdom where we are located have a Black Gold Institute, but other kingdoms also have them. As I just said, I am both a guide for black gold and a guide for wizards. I hope you can join the Black Gold Institute, where you will meet more wizards. If you are careful, exchanging witchcraft languages, trading relics, and exchanging witchcraft weapons are all good ways to improve yourself. Rudolph hesitated. I really want to, but Ms. Windsor, I am now surrounded by enemies. Someone in the Black Gold Institute just put a bounty of 3,000 gold shields on my head. Won't this bring you some trouble to the Black Gold Institute? Windsor, the guide, smiled kindly. What is this? What wizard doesn't have a few bounties on his back? What wizard doesn't have some life and death enemies? I am 78 years old. The highest reward on my head is 18,000 gold shields, and the lowest reward is 11,000 gold shields. Does this affect me in any way? You are still young now, don't be discouraged or sad. 3,000 gold shields is indeed a bit insulting, but I am optimistic about you. After more than 10 years, I believe your reward will be much larger, and sooner or later you will catch up with me, or even surpass me. They put a bounty on the wizard at the Black Gold Institute, which made me want to laugh. Do you want to know who is putting a bounty on your head? Does this violate the confidentiality principle of the Black Gold Institute? Can you tell me? Oh, yes, the Black Gold Institute must keep the identity of its customers secret. Windsor, the guide, took out a booklet from the basket on her lap, which contained the identity of the chess piece holder. But if you join the Black Gold Institute, then you will keep this book. This will not be considered a leak. The custodian should look at the items he keeps. This is his duty and it should be taken for granted. Ahem. Is this okay? Rudolph couldn't help coughing a few times, covering up the embarrassment for Windsor, the guide. So, Ms. Windsor, what do I need to do if I join the Black Gold Institute? Windsor rummaged in his basket and found a pocket-sized chessboard pendant. This is a token from the wizard of the Black Gold Institute. If there is anything I need, I will contact you through this. Rudolph put away the chessboard ornaments. The chessboard was only a quarter of the size of his palm and made of metal. There were only small black and white squares on the chessboard. I have to tell you with regret that the Black Gold Institute was founded by the Libra wizard. The pattern of the scale is a scale. Only by believing in a fair scale can more people be convinced. The members responsible for the transaction must all be Libra wizards. Although we occasionally make mistakes, credibility is the foundation of the Black Gold Institute. After other wizards enter the Black Gold Institute, they are mainly responsible for security work. In other words, after Rudolph joins the Black Gold Institute, you will be responsible for the security of the Black Gold Institute in Fabro City and eliminate possible dangers on the periphery during transactions. You can also participate in transactions as a pawn, which has no impact on your transactions. Rudolph finally understood. Except for the Libra wizard, the other wizards joined the Black Gold Institute and were just thugs. He opened his pocket watch, looked at the gathering black figures, and couldn't help but say, "My duty is to be responsible for the safety of the Black Gold Institute and to eliminate dangers. So, there is a small problem here. What if the danger is caused by me?" Rudolph knew that he was now a level 3 wizard and no longer a small fish. If he wanted him to work, the Black Gold Institute would have to pay something. Cooperation, everyone makes demands, everyone gets what they need, no one is shabby. Windsor, the guide, smiled and said, Are you saying that you deliberately sold 22 batwings at one time to attract people from the vampire clan and the judgment office? Since you are one of your own now, of course Tabo and I will help you. Oh, I forgot to introduce you to you. Tabo is the host, the one in the tuxedo. Is Mr. Tabor also a Libra wizard? Yes, all trading leaders must be Libra wizards. Windsor, the guide, said, you go first, I will gather the people from the Black Gold Institute, and at the right time, we will help you come forward. Rudolph picked up his cane, stood up and saluted Windsor, the guide. Ms. Windsor, the guide, to be honest, I have some connections in the Judgment Bureau, and soon the Judgment Bureau will attack those vampires in the name of raiding the Black Gold Institute. Directly attacking the vampires violated the Red Church Agreement, but in a certain operation, some vampires who appeared at the crime scene were accidentally injured, so this was inevitable. Please rest assured that the Judicial Office will not really attack the Black Gold Institute. With that, Rudolph left the bench. Windsor, the guide, looked at Rudolph's back after he left, thinking about something, and then she sat up from the bench. She held her palm upwards, and suddenly a wind ball appeared in her hand, and a whistling sound sounded from the wind ball. Libra wizards are wind wizards, and Windsor's wind wizards are very skilled. The whistling sound was like an order, and 5 or 6 people walked out of the Black Gold place behind them. Including Tabo, who was wearing a tuxedo, and several traders. Tabo walked up to Windsor, leaned over and said, Teacher, the vampires are already nearby, and the Judgment Office is further outside. Do we need to retreat first? Tabo, the trading host of the Black Gold Exchange, is a disciple of Windsor. Even though he is now a level 3 wizard, he is still as respectful as a wizard apprentice in front of Windsor. Windsor shook his head, let's go and have a look. It's rare for the Black Gold Institute to be so lively. I have talked so much with the Scorpio wizard Rudolph and I really want to absorb him. If he can join the Black Gold Institute, it will be very beneficial to the development of the Black Gold Institute. At the end of the street, there were a dozen vampires who had just arrived from the Red Church. Hera's hands were folded around her chest, as if this could support the tiring weight. Under her wrists were winding and floating bloodlines. The bloodlines were as soft as ribbons, but exuded a dangerous aura. Behind her were a dozen vampires with fangs exposed, each staring at Rudolph with vicious eyes. We meet again, Ms. Hera. On the way here, Rudolph had already taken off the purple scorpion mask, even the disguise, and stood opposite Hera, feeling confident. Where are your accomplices? Are you alone? You are still really not afraid of death. The purpose of Hera's visit this time was to take away Vanya and the White Wolf as well, but unfortunately she only saw the wizard. Rudolph suddenly noticed a person. There was a person behind Hera without fangs, and he was holding a scalpel in his hand. Plague vector. Did the vampires find a plague vector to counteract Rudolph's poison? Of course I'm not alone. I'm so afraid of death that I have many friends when I fight. Rudolph asked with a smile, just tell me, do you want to fight with my gangster friends or my white gangster friends? Hera suddenly felt something was wrong, a friend in the underworld. Friends on the White Road. At this moment, gunshots and shouts suddenly rang out on the street behind the vampires. Quick! 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 Destroy the stolen goods den of the Black Gold Institute. The people from the Judgment Office suddenly appeared and shot the vampire in the back. These people from the Judicial Office were actually hiding in the surrounding houses. At this time, teams with weapons appeared one after another. Tonight there is a special operation carefully arranged by the tribunal to raid the Black Gold Institute. During the operation, we encountered vampires who came from unknown sources. Isn't it too much to shoot at these heretics who colluded with the Black Gold Institute? For a moment, grenades and bullets flew together. Rudolph hurriedly ducked to the side. He even heard the sound of a heavy machine gun. The decline of Fabro City is in all aspects. Many people have moved away from Fabro City. This neighborhood has almost become a no-man's land, which allows the people of the trial department to do whatever they want. Those level 2 vampires were unable to withstand the firepower of the judgment office and were suppressed in an instant. Hera was even more embarrassed. If she was caught by the tribunal and the high priest of the Red Church appeared in the Black Gold Institute, she would have no words to explain. In the past, when the Rievno family participated in the Black Gold Exchange's transactions, they would send other members of the family to participate, trying to hide their identities as much as possible. Except for the Black Gold Institute, no one knows which chess piece belongs to the Rievno family. Hera grabbed the plague carrier, broke through a wall, and rushed out from another street. As for the dozen men he brought, he doesn't care anymore. Just when Hera moved to another street, she saw Rudolph already waiting there on this street. The sound of the cane resounded in the street, and the heavy gunfire in the next street could not conceal the thud of Rudolph's cane on the ground. Hera stared at Rudolph's cane and knew that it was a level 3 witchcraft. After 5 steps, Rudolph suddenly stopped. From the shadows, 2 other vampires appeared silently. Rudolph frowned. The 2 vampires had iron bat wings behind their backs. The iron bat wings went around to the front and wrapped their bodies like a wrinkled flesh cocoon. Only their heads were exposed, and the fangs at the corners of their mouths showed their danger. The vampires wrapped in iron bat wings can float forward without moving their legs without making any sound. They are all level 3 vampires. Did the other level 3 vampires of the Rievno family also come to Fabro City from the castle? According to the information from the tribunal, 100 years ago, Rievno had 5 vampire children who were level 3 vampires, and Hera was one of them. The Rievno family has been very quiet in the past 100 years. Now that 100 years have passed, there may be many more level 3 vampires in the Rievno family. Hera patted the dust left on her clothes when she just broke through the wall, and said, "Rudolph, you shouldn't have come alone. Where is Vanya?" For a time, Rudolph was at a huge disadvantage. He looked towards the end of the street. If Windsor, the guide, appeared, then he would join the Black Gold Institute. The plague agent, who had been lying at Hera's feet just now, took out a syringe and quickly injected the 3 vampires in sequence. In the syringe, there was a potion made by the plague agent that could detoxify the Scorpio toxin. Rudolph muttered in a low voice, "May there be no plague vectors in the world." 3 level 3 vampires flew towards Rudolph fiercely. Rudolph waved his left hand, and a purple fireball as tall as a person appeared in front of him. The fireball split into 8 pieces and flew fiercely towards the vampires. These 8 fireballs filled the streets, making them appear extremely narrow. The 2 vampires opened their mouths and roared loudly. Ultrasonic waves burst out of their mouths, scattering the fireballs. Lilac poisonous smoke is spreading everywhere. Logically speaking, this is Rudolph's method of poisoning, but the presence of plague vectors makes these vampires not afraid of Rudolph's poison for the time being. Hera rushed through the poisonous smoke, and 2 bloody lines suddenly cut towards Rudolph's waist, about to cut off Rudolph's waist. Rudolph raised his eyebrows slightly but did not dodge. At this moment, a hurricane suddenly blew up on the street, and the fierce wind blew everyone away with great force. Hera's blood-cut line rotated with the hurricane, and she even lost control of the blood-cut line. When the hurricane became smaller, the blood-cut line had tied Hera herself and left several wounds on her body. The remaining 2 vampires were blown backwards, and the plague agent kept rolling on the ground. He rolled an unknown number of times before hitting the wall and stopping. Hera stood up in embarrassment and looked at the guide who appeared in the distance. It was too strong. It was just a witchcraft with no offensive power, and the dispute was resolved. The vampires of the Rievno family, you actually used the Black Gold Institute's transaction as an inducement to ambush my people from the Black Gold Institute. When Hera heard the guide's words, She looked at Rudolph in surprise. Is this the friend in the underworld that Rudolph was talking about? So, the people in the tribunal are his friends in the White Road? The Rievno family is a big customer of the Black Gold Institute. I am here to formally inform you that Rudolph is now the wizard of the Black Gold Institute. Next time, I don't want to see you taking action against the people of the Black Gold Institute. Hera's gums rolled and she was very angry, but there was nothing she could do. Unless Rievno came, no one could be the opponent of the one who led the way. Everything today is a misunderstanding. I apologize to you, Mr. Guide. Windsor, the big client of the Black Gold Exchange and the Guide, has already given the Rievno family's identity. Rudolph knew that the Black Gold Exchange was an exchange and would not do anything to the Rievno family. However, this was pretty good. Watching Hera leave with a cold expression made Rudolph feel that joining the Black Gold Institute was a good choice. Okay, Rudolph, your friends from the tribunal are coming over, so we'll leave first. See you next Friday. If there is any action by the tribunal next time, remember to inform me first. Of course, if I know, I will let you know. See you next Friday, Ms. Windsor. When Wayne came with more than 20 people, he saw only empty streets, as if a hurricane had just passed through. In the alley in the distance, there was a purple light flashing, and he walked towards the alley alone. The Judgment Office invested too little force in this operation. This is irresponsible for your lives, and it is also irresponsible for my life. Larry only saw a back figure and only heard these words. He had never even seen Rudolph's face, but he knew that Rudolph was very angry. The tribunal and the wizards cooperated, but in the end they were more suspicious than trusting. 2-1. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 189. That night, Hera returned to the Red Church and came to the corridor behind the statue of the ancestor of the Blood Clan again. After listening to Hera's statement, a voice sounded in the ancient golden coffin, "Go to the castle and wake up your brother Huntington and all the sleeping people in the family." Hera's face showed joy. Is the family finally going to use all its strength? What about those who are in the critical period of promotion? Wake them up together. If we can complete our plan, all the losses can be easily made up. Even the importance of promotion is not as important as what the family will do next. Although 1 or 2 people may be hastily promoted and not strong, it doesn't matter. In the second half of the night, Rudolph also returned to the apartment they rented. The lights in the apartment were still on. There was still a light left for Rudolph in this strange city. With a smile on his face, Rudolph walked into the apartment. Yvonne was still awake. She knew that Rudolph was a little dangerous to go out this time, so she had been waiting for Rudolph. She had prepared a bath for Rudolph. Rudolph took off his clothes and said, "Yvonne, didn't you say you wanted to run an orphanage? Tomorrow I'll take you to find Ivy, maybe you can run an orphanage too." Yvonne's eyes lit up, then dimmed again. Miss Ivy has an orphanage because she has Thor mining behind her. We don't have that much money. Rudolph took out an envelope from his coat. You don't have Thor mining behind you, but you have me behind you. Yvonne's eyes lit up when she saw so much money. How can there be so much money? I just went to the Black Gold Institute to sell some witchcraft weapons and made a simple profit of nearly 10,000 gold shields. But the orphanage is doing charity, and our wealth is far from comparable to Thor mining. It's okay, there's nothing to feel bad about the money I got from the vampires after 2 lives. Rudolph can finally say this. I don't care about money. Money is just a number to me and has no meaning. Seeing that Rudolph really wanted to support her in running an orphanage, Yvonne's eyes were full of stars. When Rudolph went to take a bath, he found that Yvonne had also come in. Yvonne didn't need extra moisture, but it was a relatively fresh experience in the bathtub. For a while, the sound of water was gurgling, the waves were vibrating, and it lasted for a long time. The skin in the water was unusually smooth. The next day, Rudolph and Ivan came to the Alchemy College of Fabreau City. The vampires cannot go out during the day, so it is safe for Rudolph and Ivan during the day. Ivy's identity in the Alchemy College is Professor Abel's assistant. The Alchemy College of Fabreau City is an important subordinate institution of the Alchemy Council, and the Deputy Speaker directly serves as the Dean of the college. Deputy Speaker Abel also has a lot of work in the council, so it is impossible to devote too much energy to teaching, and most of the teaching work is handed over to Ivy. Ivy has an independent office with a wall of bookshelves filled with various red, green and yellow books. When I saw Rudolph, Ivy was a little surprised. What was this wizard doing in broad daylight? When Ivy heard what Rudolph wanted to do, she was even more surprised. You mean, you want to participate in the operation of an orphanage? Rudolph patted Ivan on the shoulder. You should talk to Ivan about this matter, and she should be the main one. Ivan was still very young, 1 year younger than Rudolph, but Ivy already had the feeling of a mature woman. The two began to talk about the orphanage, and Rudolph stood by the window, looking at the Alchemy Academy outside the window. The Alchemy Academy is located in the Blanca district, a wealthy area in Fabreau City. The academy has a palace-like building complex, the lawn is very neatly built, and there are fountains and water features all year round. All the buildings are marble buildings, white, heavy, and noble. There are very few students in the Alchemy Academy, which is a pure aristocratic academy. They wear exquisite college uniforms, and everyone has shiny leather shoes. Only the rich people in Fabreau City can send their children to the Alchemy Academy to seek an opportunity to become an alchemist assistant. I heard that they have many courses, including astronomy, physics, chemistry, mechanics, electricity, etc. There are many things to learn. Alchemist assistant is not only the first step for an alchemist, but also the experimental assistant of a certain alchemist, and needs to participate in some research of the alchemist. Even people like Claude would pay attention to the Fabreau Alchemy Journal when he had nothing to do, making him look like a cultured person. Rudolph looked at the men and women with joy on their faces and holding books, walking on the neat lawn, and felt a little envious for a while. No matter how tense it is outside, the Alchemy Council will make this place like a paradise to cultivate the most noble alchemists. After a long time, the two people behind him finally finished talking. Ivy and Rudolph said, "Rudolph, if you are willing, you will open the third orphanage in Fabreau City. The Relief Society and you will be co-financiers, and the donations received by the Relief Society will be distributed to several orphanages. To be honest, Rudolph, I think Ivan is more suitable for the Relief Society than you." Rudolph had no objection to this. That's true, and I know I don't look like a good person. He thought silently in his heart that no matter how chaotic the Blood Clan was, Ivan's orphanage would be as safe and peaceful as the Alchemy Academy. After talking with Ivy, Rudolph and Ivan left the Alchemy Academy. "Ivan, you go back first, I want to go somewhere first." Rudolph went to a coffee shop alone, the one where the waitress had a very low collar. No, it was the coffee shop where a cup of coffee cost 50 copper shields. When Rudolph entered the coffee shop, the waitress recognized Rudolph at a glance, the customer who had been drinking a cup of coffee for more than an hour. She originally didn't want to serve this customer, but the customer asked her to go. "What was the name of the coffee you introduced to me last time?" The waitress kept a professional smile and leaned over and said, "Sir, it is coffee ground from top quality bourbon beans." "Yes, that's the name, something bourbon." Rudolph didn't even look at the menu and said directly, "Give me 5 cups first." Seeing that the waitress didn't move, Rudolph stared at her. "Please hurry up, I can't wait to taste the delicious bourbon beans." "Can you finish 5 cups at a time? Can you bring 5 cups at a time?" Seeing Rudolph's firm attitude, the waitress had to make coffee. After a while, the waitress finally came back with coffee, and there were 5 cups of coffee on the tray. The waitress put the tray on the table and wanted to put the coffee down at once. "Wait," Rudolph stopped her behavior, "I want to put it down one cup at a time." As a last resort, the waitress had to put the cups on the table one by one, bending down again and again. Every time she leaned over, the heavy metal ornaments in the center of her collar would reveal more scenery in her collar. Rudolph understood that the price of this coffee included the price of scenery, and it couldn't be less even once, otherwise it would be a big loss. 5 cups of coffee. Rudolph didn't need to sip slowly, he took a half cup at a time, enjoying the coffee, no, enjoying the taste of money. After paying a certain tip, Rudolph left the cafe happily. Ah, is this the sin of money? So sinful, so fond of. It's a pity that today I only spent 1 silver shield and 50 bronze shields, and there was a tip of 20 bronze shields, 10,000 gold shields. When can I spend it all? Is this what revenge consumption is? But the money spent is not as fast as the money earned. I am distressed, very distressed. When Rudolph returned home, Ivan had just woken up from a nap. The curtains are drawn, so I won't open them. Take a nap, Rudolph. Nap? I'm not sleepy at all this afternoon. How about we do something else? Go to the bathtub. It's quite interesting. There was another sound of water, and the water waves oscillated for a long time. 2 days later, in the southern part of Fabro City, in the Dordo district, far away from the city center, Rudolph took a fancy to an abandoned 2-story office building. Ivan, who was wearing makeup, and Rudolph, who was wearing a beard, checked the details of the house in the office building together. The office building has a very ordinary layout, with a walkway in the middle and rooms on the north and south sides. The south side of the house has sufficient light, and the north side also has large windows, so it won't be very dark. Rudolph first looked at the roof. There was no mold or water leakage, which would save a lot of roof maintenance costs. There is no problem with the water supply and drainage in the bathroom. At least there is no need to move the floor. Just replace the sanitary ware. The wall is a little dirty, and it is not very difficult to repaint it. The previous tenant moved all the office furniture away, and there is nothing inside. But it is better this way, Rudolph can replace the furniture. Compared with the places that Rudolph checked, Ivan only looked at this house has a big window. I like the color of the wallpaper in this house, the view outside this window is nice. The landlord saw that Rudolph knew more, and he asked, "Sir, how long are you going to rent it?" "No, I will buy it." "Sorry, sir, I don't sell my house. Although it is a little remote, I can always get rent. 300 gold shields. "Sir, I really don't sell it. 320 gold shields. This is not about money. 350 gold shields. Deal." The landlord happily signed an agreement with Rudolph, and this house will belong to Rudolph in the future. There was originally a large conference room on the first floor, which can be used as a classroom for the orphanage in the future. The remaining rooms can be converted into kitchens and dining rooms, as well as bedrooms for Rudolph and Ivan. The second floor can be used as a dormitory for the orphanage. A rough calculation shows that it can accommodate 30 to 50 people. Rudolph and Ivan did not plan to expand the scale of the orphanage. They would do what they could. When they have more energy and money in the future, it would be best to familiarize themselves with the work of the orphanage and train a few capable assistants before expanding the scale of the orphanage. This will be the orphanage in the Dordo district in the future. In this way, Ivan will have something to do and will not have to sit at home. Ivan looked at the future orphanage with satisfaction and said, "Why don't we write a letter to Zach in Lehman and ask him to bring the beggars here? Since we are going to take in beggars, why not take in the children from Lehman who we are familiar with? It's a good idea, but there is no need to write a letter. Zach can't read. If he could read, wouldn't he be able to find a job as a hired worker?" Rudolph said, Let's repair this house first. When it's done, I'll go to Lehman and ask Zach and the others to come. After the landlord left, Rudolph took Ivan to the basement, which had many rooms. This is why I'm willing to spend a lot of money to buy this house. Ivan looked at the basement and didn't think it was anything special. Rudolph continued. The basement of this building is very high, which means that a lot can be done on the ceiling. I will change the layout of this basement. Half of the basement will be the storage room of the orphanage, and the other half will be used as a dark room to help you spend the night of the full moon. Let's try it first and see if it works. If it works, we will do it this way in the future. If it doesn't work, I will think of other ways. Ivan's eyes were downcast, and she was a little sad. If she was a normal person, it would be fine. All the walls of the darkroom are interlayered and filled with the best soundproofing materials. There will be a staircase in our room leading directly to the darkroom so that no one will find us. This darkroom can also be used as our secret warehouse. In the future, we will have more and more things, and we can hide some magic tools that are inconvenient to carry on our bodies. The walls of the darkroom will be made of the alchemical metal we saw in the police station, which is extremely strong. Of course, if you want to help you survive the full moon transformation, you still have to rely on toxins. It is unrealistic to expect metal walls to resist your wolf claws. Rudolph was thinking about how to make a darkroom with great interest. After seeing Ivan in a bad mood, he hugged her and comforted her. Ivan, you can't live in the wilderness. I don't want you to become a lone wolf in the wilderness, nor do I want to see you live in a werewolf tribe. It is very dangerous to survive the full moon transformation in the suburbs. I think the best solution is to make a darkroom. Don't worry, I will do my best to make it well. The decoration work was carried out in an orderly manner. On Friday, Rudolph went to the Black Gold Institute. He had nothing to sell this time. After looking through the transaction list and seeing that there was nothing he wanted to buy, Rudolph came to the outskirts of the Black Gold. His job was security, so he was wary of possible enemies in the Black Gold. But to his regret, no one had any idea of attacking the Black Gold throughout the night. If nothing unexpected happened, this job would be very simple. Rudolph also got the list of chess pieces of the Black Gold, which was one of the employee benefits of the Black Gold. Blood Clan, Werewolf, Evil God, Viscount, Counselor, Rudolph shook his head. All the ones who should and shouldn't have come came. It was really everything. For more than half a month, Rudolph didn't care about Blood Clan or Relief Association. He was busy decorating the relief house every day. During the day, he decorated the ground part, and at night, he decorated the underground darkroom. Together with Vanya, he almost installed the darkroom by himself, and even bought and transported the materials. Rudolph studied architectural design in his previous life, so he was very good at doing these. Coupled with the strong physical fitness of the two level 3 apostles, the darkroom was finally decorated before the full moon. Before helping Ivan through the full moon tonight, Rudolph went to the city red church. He wanted to see if there was anything new about the full moon sacrifice of the vampires this month. 2 in 1. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 190. There are 5 districts in Fabro City, and each district has a district red church. Rudolph is now in the Dordo district, located in the southeast. The northwest is the church district, because there is the largest red church here, which is also the city red church. In front of the city red church, there is a huge octagonal square. The red church occupies one side of the octagon, and in front of the red church, there is a large altar. On the remaining 6 corners of the octagonal square, each corner has a small altar. There are 3 sacrifices on the large altar in front, and one sacrifice on each of the small altars around. Rudolph counted and found that the city red church prepared 9 sacrifices every month. It is worthy of Fabreau City. There are only 3 sacrifices in Lehman Town at most. At least in Fabreau City, wizards must not kill as many apostles as vampires. This is the power of power. Once established, all atrocities are justified. Not all heretic apostles are extremely vicious. Most of them just live cautiously. Today's offerings are mainly werewolves and evil gods. It seems that the relationship between the 3 apostles is not very good. Werewolves and evil gods are the most apostles. If ordinary people are not careful, they will be bitten and become werewolves, or join some tempting organization and become servants of evil gods. On the main altar in front, Rudolph even saw a level 2 werewolf. Seeing that there were still many people in the square, Rudolph was a little puzzled. He found someone and asked, "Hello, I am from Town. This is my first time in Fabreau City. Isn't it said that the people in the red church are all vampires? Why are there so many people coming to watch the full moon sacrifice?" The man looked at Rudolph like a country bumpkin. Is this still called a lot of people? Compared with the past, there are more than 1/3 fewer people. It seems that the actions of the Relief Association have some impact on the Blood Clan, but the impact is not great. Public executions are valuable entertainment activities, and every sacrifice can arouse people's adrenaline. Soon, on the large and small altars, the priests began to preside over tonight's full moon sacrifice. Although it was a full moon night, there were dark clouds in the sky, and it seemed that it was going to rain. The bad weather did not affect the people's enthusiasm around the altar. Watching the execution is a very stress-relieving thing. No matter what bad things you usually encounter, no matter how unhappy you are, watching others, or watching the apostles being dismembered or nailed to death, always makes people extremely happy, and the accumulated pressure has an outlet to vent. However, Rudolph did not come here simply to appreciate the sacrifice. He squinted his eyes, hid in the crowd, and waited for the full moon whisper. Soon, the full moon whisper appeared in Rudolph's mind. "Look at the blood food all over the city, I don't know what they are happy about. It's almost time, the streets will become a river of blood." Rudolph heard a lot of whispers, but he focused on selecting the whispers related to blood. What surprised Rudolph was that there were a lot of whispers, and they were all whispers said from a contemptuous perspective. When did the Revno family have so many high-level vampires? The family agreed to the invitation of the Revno family. This is the window, the port. After the mumbling ended, Rudolph became more and more confused. What is the Revno family going to do? Who is interacting with the Revno family? In front of the glass window of the church, there are 7 vampires standing. There is no light in the dark room, and there are only 7 pairs of blood-red pupils in front of the dark glass. Rudolph stood in the crowd, looking at the window. He has good eyesight, but can only see 7 dark figures. Unconsciously, the clouds covered the moon, and the night became darker and darker. When the sacrifice was about to end, a flash of lightning suddenly crossed the sky. The light of the lightning illuminated the church. Rudolph instantly opened a level 3 sensing wolf pupil, which lasted only 1 second. The sensing wolf pupil was closed, and Rudolph's pupils returned from yellow-brown to black. He couldn't believe what he saw. There were 7 vampires standing in the window of the church, and the high priest Hera was standing on the side edge. That is to say, among the 7 vampires, Hera's status was not high. Standing in the center was a young man with a narrow face. When did the Revno family have so many high-level vampires? If Hera could only stand on the side, did it prove that these 7 people were all level 3 vampires? Drops of rain fell, and it was going to rain in Fabreau City. Rudolph turned around and left the square with the crowd. He didn't go back directly. There was still some time before Ivan transformed, so he came to the police station first. During this time, Wayne and his team stayed in the police station, specifically responsible for investigating the Revno family. When Rudolph entered the office prepared for Wayne's team, he saw Wayne was there. I found a large number of level 3 vampires in the Ravno family. Wayne looked up and became alert. A large number? How many exactly? I saw 7 people. 7 people. Wayne was a little unbelievable, he said. According to the records, in the Ravno family, Ravno is a level 4 vampire, and he has 4 children who are level 3 vampires, including the high priest Hera. 7 people. Has the Ravno family awakened so many level 3 vampires in the past few decades? I don't know about that. I think the tribunal should invest more power to investigate this matter. This is very unusual. Wayne frowned. Rudolph was right. He should indeed increase his power, but he first found a photo and asked, is this person among the 7 people? A photo of a middle-aged man, with a pale face, no beard, hair combed back, tightly attached to the scalp, and a sinister face. Rudolph shook his head. No, this person is not among the 7. Who is this person? This is Ravno, a level 4 vampire, Wayne continued. It doesn't matter whether he is there or not. High-level vampires often sleep. It must be something big to wake up so many vampires from sleep at the same time. I will tell the director to put the trial department into an emergency state. You should also find Deputy Director Claude to see what countermeasures he and Deputy Speaker Abel have. Got it? Rudolph left the police station and rushed to his newly built darkroom. At this time, Ivan was waiting for him in the darkroom. It's really strange to talk here, there is no echo at all. The darkroom is covered with sound-absorbing cotton, so it is different from talking in a normal room. After there is no echo, the sound becomes much muffled. There is an iron cage in the darkroom, and the rods of the iron cage are all alchemical metal. This iron cage alone cost Rudolph nearly 100 gold shields. It is a level 3 alchemical metal that Rudolph bought through the police station. Ivan entered the iron cage. There was also a thick iron pillar in the iron cage. It had no other function. It was specially used for the White Wolf to attack and vent the White Wolf's excess energy. Okay, Ivan, let's try and see if we can get through tonight smoothly. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 191. Ivan obediently drank the paralysis potion specially prepared for her by Rudolph. The other effects of this potion are weakened and the paralysis effect is strengthened. This was their first full moon night in town, so they were both nervous. As the hour wore on, Ivan began to breathe harder. I'm going to start taking my clothes off. Ang, I'm watching. Ivan wanted Rudolph to turn around, but felt it was a bit unnecessary, so she took off her clothes and waited for the moment to transform into a white wolf. On a full moon night, even if there is no moonlight, it is difficult for werewolves to control their animalistic nature. Ivan grew white hair all over her body, and her body expanded more and more, turning into a level 3 werewolf. Among her beautiful hair are her well-developed muscles. Because the darkroom is still relatively low, the white wolf is on all fours. Rudolph activated his star power and suddenly strengthened the paralyzing toxin in the white wolf's body. The white wolf's eyes instantly glazed over. She shook her huge wolf head, trying to expel the paralysis, but unfortunately, she couldn't. Rudolph's level 3 scorpion toxin is not that easy to deal with. Within the same level, no apostle can resist it unless he encounters a plague vector. Maybe the pain priest can also resist it, but Rudolph has never encountered it, so he doesn't know the actual effect. The white wolf shook his head, moved his steps, and began to hit the iron cage. The iron cage kept shaking under the impact of the white wolf. Soundproofing materials can isolate sound, but they cannot isolate vibration, which is a drawback of darkrooms. Fortunately, Rudolph increased the toxin input at this time, otherwise the violent vibrations may have affected the ground structure. Rudolph struggled for a long time before he got the white wolf to calm down. An hour later, Bai Lang finally passed her transformation period and passed out. Rudolph was exhausted and sweating all over. He came out of the cage, squatted under the iron cage, and studied the bottom of the iron cage. Some anti-shock springs should be installed at the bottom of the iron cage, but I don't know if the supply department of the police station can find springs made of alchemical metal. Soon, the white wolf also woke up. After the animal nature was released, humanity completely drove away the animal nature, and Yvonne returned to her original form. She looked around and saw her teeth and paw prints on the pillars of the metal cage. Seeing Yvonne covered in sweat, Rudolph hugged her. I installed our bathroom first, with a bathtub in it. Do you think I am very clever? Yvonne was in a good mood. There was no danger on this full moon night. She joked, you haven't even taken off your clothes in advance. I think you still haven't thought comprehensively. Okay, next time I'll make it foolproof. The two left their clothes in the darkroom and walked up the stairs to the bathroom together. A glass of water was placed on the bathroom sink in advance, and Rudolph saw the water spill out. The sound can be isolated, but the destructive power of the white wolf is too strong and the vibration cannot be isolated. Rudolph feels that there are still many areas that need improvement. But Yvonne couldn't wait to pull Rudolph into the bathtub, and while waiting for the water to be released, she sat on Rudolph. Rudolph woke up at noon the next day. He came to the police station first, but Claude was not here. Claude is now the deputy director in charge of the 6 towns outside Fabreau City. At this time, he often goes on patrol and is not often at the city police station. At this time, a female police officer entered Claude's office. This plump young policewoman's waist twisted when she walked, and her body swayed like a waterweed. Rudolph felt that she must be Claude's new secretary, so in line with Claude's taste. Miss Secretary, do you know which town deputy director Claude went to? The secretary's red lips opened and closed. Sir, the deputy director has gone to Lehman Town. Rudolph put on his hat and left the city police station. The situation was urgent, and he had to go to Lehman Town first. There were a large number of high-level vampires in the Red Church, and Claude needed to deal with it. After taking half a day to arrive at Lehman Town, Rudolph first arrived at the cemetery outside the town. Old Gray was still napping in the cemetery and didn't say much after seeing Rudolph. Let me use your place, Old Gray. Use it? I'll have something for you to do after I'm done. Rudolph was a little surprised, but he couldn't guess what Old Gray wanted him to do. Soon, the police patrol patrolling the outskirts of Lehman Town were about to visit the cemetery. He entered the cemetery and was startled when he saw the person next to Old Gray. Sam, what about? Are you so scared to see me? Sam's head was covered in cold sweat, and he kept swallowing the saliva that was not there. Captain Rudolph. I'm glad you are willing to call me Captain. Rudolph smiled and patted Sam on the shoulder. Is Deputy Director Claude in town? I want to see him. Sam turned his head and looked at Rudolph's hand, as if this hand was very scary. Yes, I will notify the police chief right away. Sam still called Claude the sheriff out of habit, and he turned around and ran towards the outside of the cemetery, where his horse was. Soon, Sam brought Claude. Sam did not get close to the 3 people in the cemetery. He wisely believed that there must be an ambush arranged by Sheriff Claude around, and there would be a big battle in the cemetery soon. But he waited for a long time, and the 3 people who came to the cemetery were just talking about something. There are at least 7 level 3 vampires in the Rievno family. Claude frowned, a little unbelievable. According to our information, the Rievno family has only 4 level 3 vampires, namely Rievno's 4 children. Where did the other 3 level 3 vampires come from? The key thing is, where did they get so many ancient coffins? The Rievno family only has one gold coffin and 3 copper coffins. Could it be that someone relied on a wooden coffin to become a level 3 vampire? Silver is poisonous to the vampires, so the vampires do not have silver coffins. After the copper coffins, there are gold coffins. Claude had a bad guess. Maybe the Rievno family has received support from a higher level vampire family. What do they want to do? Rudolph asked, Director, shouldn't you be staying in the city to deal with the vampire affairs now? Why are you leaving Fabreau City at this time? I'm not the director yet. I've seen it quickly. I skip 2 grades a year. People with a background do this. Ha ha ha, that's true. No, now is not the time to talk about this. Claude became serious again. I didn't come to Lehman Town to reminisce about old times, but the police stations in several towns reported news that a large number of werewolves were found outside the town. There were many level 2 werewolves, and some even saw level 3 werewolves. Several surrounding towns were on the verge of getting out of control. It's not the situation like Baron Huckham's taking the initiative to go deep into the wilderness to look for level 3 werewolves, but the level 3 werewolves are getting closer and closer to the farm, and are even seen by people on the farm. Hearing the news, Rudolph's mood didn't get better. I don't know if something big is about to break out in Fabreau City, or if something big is brewing in the wilderness. I always feel that it's not a coincidence that these things happen at the same time. I will look for my background and my teacher, Deputy Speaker Abel, to see if the Alchemy Council can do anything. At this time, Old Grey, who had been silent until now, spoke. Rudolph, go help me bring Cooper back. The clues I left on Cooper tell me that Cooper has always been in danger recently. It is not safe in the wilderness, and it is time to bring Cooper back. Thinking of Cooper who was still eating dirt in the wilderness, Rudolph felt sorry for him. It's time to bring Cooper back. I think Cooper is about to become a savage. Claude warned, you must be careful when going into the wilderness now. Don't worry, I know that place well.